All right, let's create a game design document for our game. Game design documents are short documents used in the game industry, all the way from AAA studios to indie teams, that contain essential information about a game. These documents are usually updated along the way, and you can include all the way from just rough sketches or concept art, and also list the assets that you will be needing, what your game is about, describe the user interface, the game mechanics, and what platforms you are going to be targeting. So what we'll do now is work on a simple game design document for this cabin experience so that we can all be on the same page as to what we are going to be building. All right, so I've got here a template for a game design document, and I've written down already that we're going to be piloting a ship and exploring an abandoned city in a floating island. So this is like a post-apocalyptic world. It's like a city that's kind of half buried in this landscape. This is going to be a game for all platforms. So it works well on mobile VR and desktop VR as well. It is mainly for desktop, it's mainly a seated experience, so we're not making use of much of position tracking. But if you have position tracking, you can still get closer or further from the dashboard of the ship. So let's go and create a bit of a sketch of the game and explain a bit more the mechanics, and then we'll complete the remaining sections here. All right, so let me bring this note-taking application, and I'm gonna make a bit of a sketch of what this game will be about. So first of all, looking from the outside, we will have a spaceship, or a flying ship, if you will. We'll be in the middle of the ocean, and we'll be in like a starting platform here, and there is going to be an island in the sky. So this is all rocks, and on top of the island there's going to be like a lot of green and some hills and mountains, and in this whole area there will be a city. There will be skyscrapers and smaller buildings all over the island. It's like an abandoned city, and this is floating in the sky. So what we will do is pilot this ship and just really fly around the building. So there's not going to be anything really happening there, but it is actually quite cool to explore this in virtual reality. The way that it feels is super real. So in the first person, you're going to be actually, this is going to be you, and you're going to be inside of the spaceship, and you'll have a dashboard here with different buttons that allow you to control the spaceship. So this is a big difference as to how a game like this would work in non-virtual reality. In here, we have all the user interface of the spaceship itself inside of the game. So this is called Diegetic Ui. I will write it down on the game design document. And it is when you have your user interface inside of the game object on the game world, and it is represented by real game objects. So you'll have a big area here to look around. So you can, the first person, it will be kind of like the, well, sort of like the Falcon Millennium, if you will. You'll be located here, and you'll be piloting the ship, and you'll be looking at the mountains and the ocean, and you're able to control the ship however you want, in first person, of course. All right, so that is the basics, and we are taking some considerations here for motion sickness prevention. One of them is to have I added these things on purpose, like kind of like frames for the view area. Not only because it made me think of the Falcon Millennium, but also because having those references around you and all the time helps with motion sickness, because you feel a bit more like embodied to that experience. So the other thing, that is one thing that was done. The other thing that is included here is that when we rotate our ship, the rotation will take place on discrete large stops, because continuous rotation that is out of your control can also cause motion sickness. And what will happen here is that when you collide into any of the buildings, you're going to start spinning around, and it's going to feel pretty crazy. So if you want, you can also easily disable that by just switching off rotation, basically setting the rotation constraint in the rigid body in Unity, so that then we don't have to keep that to have the rotation imposed to us unless we decide to do it. But anyway, that will be covered once we build this game. So now what I want to do is open like a capture program and basically take these ideas onto my game design document. So I'm going to bring this one to my game design document and just paste this here and reduce. And I'm going to do the same with the other images that we created and bring those onto my game design document so that we are all on the same page, or that you can easily communicate your ideas with to other people. All right, so now, as I said before, we already discussed the target platforms. It's going to be a cross-platform experience. Now the UI will have a reticle, so this is gaze-based. We'll have a reticle to click on the buttons, to select the buttons, and we'll have what's called Diegetic Ui, which is a world UI, world elements. In this case, an actual dashboard with actual buttons that we can activate. So that is the user interface here. And you could obviously extend this to simulate any kind of vehicle that you want. So the game mechanics is that you will be using the buttons to move and rotate the ship so that you can explore. You can fly over the city. And what else will we have here? Will be located inside the ship, so we're always going to be inside the ship. And optionally, you can adjust comfortability by basically disabling. You can even disable collision altogether, or constraining rotation. Then what sort of assets are we going to need? Well, we're going to need a ship to begin with, an aircraft. We will have the ocean, so we'll be using the water from the standard assets of Unity. Then we'll have this floating island, basically, the whole island, and we'll have buildings. I think those are all the assets that we will need. We'll obviously need the reticle itself, and this is all from the VR standard assets of Unity. So I'm providing all of these files as usual. And we're not gonna use this one. This was there from something else. All right, so that's it for our game design document. And now I've got a bit of a challenge for you, and you might have seen this before in other courses. And it is that I would like you to try to create a simple game design document of a VR game idea that you might have. And if you don't have an idea, that's fine. It can be a game that you like, or it doesn't have to be a game. It can be any type of application. And now think of how you can get to that concept, but in the simplest way. Let's say using just boxes and planes and spheres, using just primitive, or using free assets from the asset store or from our courses. How can you create this with just one level, with just one option, with just one item? The most simple thing that you can do, and try to work and get that idea off the ground. The best way to create a new idea is just to really start with something simple and then build around that. That is at least what really works well for me, and what I've seen working for other people as well. Although I know that there are people that have different approaches, like having a massive vision and working to get to that vision for a very long time, but then it can also happen that on the way there you might change your mind. So I'm more in favor of the smaller, little by little approach. And yeah, so have a go and see what you can come up with, and then join us on the next video so that we can start creating this really amazing experience.